short introduction about Hupac, about our business, what we are doing as an intermodal operator. Then I will explain some of the planning challenges that we have, and also why we choose Quintiq and Ab Ovo as implementation partner. And then I will conclude my presentation with some demo and some explanation of the resulting solution, including benefits that we have. So Hupac, we are an intermodal operator based in Switzerland, and we work mainly in Europe, so in the north-south corridor, but also Russia and China. So we basically organize trains for our customers, so the logistic companies, and we run more than 100 trains a day. So roughly we run 30,000 trains a year. On top of that, we have also a fleet of 5,000 rail cars, so intermodal rail cars. The company is pretty old, has been founded in the 1967, so 50 years, we had our 50 years event just 2017. That's one of our trains in the Swiss Alps. So as you can see, our trains in Europe are not as long as here in the US, so they are just 700 meters, which is less than half a mile. They are not double stack because obviously the infrastructure that we have in Europe, as I will explain briefly later, are different than the one in the US. As I say, our network is mainly focused on in Europe with the north-south corridors, and then we're moving east in Russia since almost 10 years, and in Shanghai since 2016. So we're trying to contribute to the One Belt, One Road concept, moving as much goods as possible over rail from Europe, mainly from Germany, to China. We have different business units, so I will not list all of them, but mainly we have a shuttle business where the capacity is our responsibility. So we have regular trains going from different terminals in Europe, Russia, and China. Then we have business in Russia and in China, and then we have also company shuttle, meaning for big customer we organize train dedicated to that customer, and the capacity is the responsibility of the customer. Recently we also acquired from Genesee, Wyoming, ERS Railway, which is a company specialized in the last mile from port to terminal, let's say maritime business. So we have different challenges in our business, but also a different opportunity. In Europe, there is a target, so by 2030, the European Union set a target of 30% of intermodal business, and by 2050, the target is 50%. We are now roughly at 20%. And as you can see, from 2005 to 2015, there was a growth in the intermodal freight rail by 43%. So meaning that we are in a growing business. The second opportunity, okay, for a Swiss company, it's very important. In one of the most important corridor in Europe, which is Corridor 1, Rotterdam-Genoa, there were improvement, and in Switzerland there was a new tunnel called the Gotthard-based tunnel. It's a 57-kilometer long tunnel, so 35 miles tunnel. And this basically helped the business in the corridor because you have a unique flat line to go through the Alps. So we need less lock to push our train over the Alps. And then we can increase the length and the weight, so which is the way we measure our capacity. So some planning challenges. So as I said before, intermodal business is not very standardized as maritime business. So we have different type of loading units that our customer deliver at our terminals or the terminal we work with. Then we have different type of rail cars to make train blocks on our trains. And then we work in intermodal, let's say in a complex network of terminals. We work roughly with 80, 90 terminals for our business. And we have the traction, I mean the rail service is provided and the locomotives are provided by external companies. So what we do is we organize train, we have our fleet of 5,000 wagons, we have some of our terminals, and we move customer deliver. Oh, sorry. The customer deliver the unit at the departure terminal. We organize the train. We buy the traction and the locomotive from the third-party company. We work with rail infrastructure that in Europe are national monopolies, meaning that it's not like in US. And so in each country, the railway belongs to the country, and there are specific rules on that. And the complexity in this is that we have customer reservation just 24, 48 hours before train departure, and they're setting our demand. And then at the same time, 1 year in advance, we buy timetable from the traction company, and we have to forecast our demand. What does it mean? It means that 1 year in advance, we need to know, we need to estimate what's the weight and the length, and how many trains we want to buy from the railway companies. And that's hard. Obviously, that's happening 1 year in advance, and every 3 months we do a rearrangement of the timetables, but it's challenging. So we need to be able to match reservation in a short term with what we buy in the long term. It's quite challenging. So what are the main planning challenges that we have in our business? So first of all, we need to make sure that we have the right rail car for the right traffic we want to have at the terminal. Since we are also a rail car keeper, for us it's important to have, proper train blocks to be able to minimize the shunting of the wagon. When the wagon arrives at the terminal, we want to make sure that as much as possible, with the same train block, we can make the new train in order to minimize the cost. Okay? And then it's very important to be able to forecast which kind of units you need to transport on that train. The second challenge is how do we maximize the load on our train? Because the combination of, as I said before, of rail cars and unit is very important. So and we need to obviously to minimize empty train, or we have to adapt our capacity by adding extra train or cancelling a train following obviously certain rules with our suppliers. The third important aspect is obviously, as any other project, is the change management. I mean, how do we change the way we manage our business, especially with 30,000 trains a year? It's quite challenging to manage it without having a proper tool, a proper process, and supporting our planners. Okay, that's another picture of one of our main terminal in the northern Italy. So, what we set up and we are finalizing is a planning system to match the demand with the capacity. So for us, it's very important to create transparency in the supply chain, and let's say being able also to estimate the demand by using historical data. Because what is happening is that we have, as a business, a high level of flexibility for our customer. Sometimes the reservation comes at the very end, so we need to be able to forecast using historical data a portion of that. Then, obviously, because of that, we are promoting a complete and timely booking in order to have the right data to make our plan. And then we are continuously adjusting the train capacity. So what we do is we have long-term planning to let's say 1 month in advance to understand what will be the trend. And then we have the daily dispatching of a train where 1 or 2 days in advance we evaluate if it makes sense to add a new train or to cancel a train. Because obviously it's better to cancel a train under certain conditions than to leave empty or to leave with just 2 units instead of 30 units on a train. And okay, the last point is also being able to provide additional service and additional data to our customer. As we heard this morning, it's very important to not only to provide the service, but today it's very important to provide the service and the data related to it. So to create transparency to the customers, and also to create a kind of win-win situation. So we would like to detect, thanks to Quintiq, unused capacity, so to avoid inefficiency. And then very important to do continuous simulation. So simulation on disruption planning. So in case we know that there are problems on a certain part of the network, we use Quintiq to simulate it and to see what can we do to handle it. Then flexibility, so to say dynamically increasing and decreasing the number of trains. And obviously KPI-driven decisions. So obviously one of the most important KPI is the train utilization. So we measure utilization in length of weight, the profitability, so cost-related issues, and also the prioritization and punctuality of our shipment. So during the pre-analysis of the project, we evaluated the different suppliers, and then we decided to go for Quintiq for many reasons, but the most important one, I'll try to list it there. So first of all, let's say the advantage of Quintiq is to have a unique solution where you can have different view on the same problem. That was very important, so an integrated solution. Then what was also very important is the Quintiq project lifecycle. I mean, for us was one of the key factors to choose Quintiq because of the, let's say it was very nice to see a structured way to manage a project from different point of view and to engage our people. And okay, as everybody knows, the KPI-driven approach is also one of the most important points. I mean, to have the possibility to see real time what is happening when you do simulation or when you change something in your plan is very important and is very appreciated by our planners. Then for implementation, we selected Ab Ovo. Ab Ovo, I mean, they have a huge experience in rail business, so they have done different projects with DB, so with Deutsche Bahn, with Lineas, with the main rail companies, and they have, how to say, pool of experts in the rail business. For us, it was very important because we can speak the same languages. I mean, we know our business, and it's very important to be able to communicate our requirement with someone who knows the rail business. And then, obviously, they are a certified partner of Quintiq, and they know as well the technology. So, the resulting solution. So, first of all, SPEAK is a German acronym from some of you who know German. It means strategic plan for capacity utilization, mainly. So this is a new process and tool to manage our capacity, and we basically we are rolling it out in two phases. So the first phase is the optimization of our rail cars. So, as I said before, how do we make sure we have the proper rail car, the proper terminal for the cargo we have to transport? And this module is already live since January. And then in January next year, we are going live with the optimized train loading, meaning how do we allocate the booking, the reservation from our customer to a train, considering all the different constraints from the customer, from the cargo, from the rail car, and so on. So just a high-level schema. So we obviously connected SPEAK, the Quintiq solution, with our ERP, where we get all the data as an input, and with the help of the optimizer, we try to optimize the rail car planning and the train loading, and then we send back the result to our ERP. So we have a deep integration between our ERP and the Quintiq solution. And moreover, we have also, how to say, we just keep 2 weeks of data in the Quintiq system, and every night we move to data warehouse the old data, and we delete let's say the day which is going out of the window, of the 2 weeks window. So also to keep the performance of the system as good as possible. Okay, that's one of the screen of the application, so the overview of the network. Here the planner can see immediately all the terminals and how it is the utilization in the terminal. You can see it on the pointer here, on the top left. Then we can see also the utilization of each product. So for us, a product is let's say source destination combination. So from A to B, this is what we call a product, and the planners can evaluate from different point of view how it is the level of utilization of my train from all the train departing from A, or from a specific combination A to B. So you can see the level of utilization. And then, let's say, obviously, what we have is also the timetable as a reference for our planners, where they can see all the trains that have been cancelled and all the trains which have been added as an extra, and so that they need to plan. Okay, this slide shows a little bit a screen of the rail car optimization. So what we do is we start from the real-time timetable, and then we try to identify with the help, with support of an optimizer, how do we match the best incoming train with the train block of that train to the next outgoing train at terminal. So as I said before, to minimize the shunting. And the trick is that you need to be able to cluster all these train blocks in in pattern that they can support similar traffic in the network. Meaning, when a train arrives, you want to make sure that it can make the second train without doing nothing, okay, to minimize the cost. Okay, here we have we import in our system all the reservation that we receive from our customers, and we have a real-time view of status of each reservation that we receive via EDI, obviously, from partners and customers. So we know if the unit is already delivered, has been loaded on the train. So the optimizer is using this information as well. So if a unit is already loaded on a train and is re-optimizing the train, is not going to touch that unit because it's already physical on that wagon. So we are considering this input real time. Okay, that's another view, quite interesting, and you can see for each train on the top part the level of utilization of the train, which is the dark green, and also the light green. The light green is what was the level of utilization historically for that train in equivalent period in the past, so that our planner know what was the trend of the capacity utilization of our train. And then at the bottom we have a Gantt chart where we basically see a full train with the wagon at the bottom and the unit, so the different containers, tanks, and so on, loaded on the train. And this is done automatically by the optimizer, checking different parameters like the maximum capacity of the wagon, technical parameters, and so on. Of course, everything is real time with KPIs, informing our planner about the impact on cost, on punctuality, and so on. So another important aspect is the management of urgent matters. So in case we have a disruption or we have an urgent unit to handle from one of our customers, the system helps the planner to identify, for example, how to free up capacity on a train in order to handle that unit, okay? And then to recalculate automatically the capacity utilization, and most important, also outlining the impact of such a change, because sometimes it can be additional cost, but you have some other effect, let's say, positive effect for the customer. Okay, benefit out of this solution. So, of course, to increase the capacity utilization, and as I said before, in Europe we don't have long train as here in US. We estimate increasing of 2% of capacity utilization on our train, which means to be able to put a little bit more than a unit per train on top of our train. Then, since we are not only an intermodal operator, but we own also asset, we own also rail cars, one of our targets is to increase the mileage of each rail car by 5%. And we see that we are live with the first module since January, and we see that we are going in the right direction because the planners have a proper visibility and they can see in advance complexity on the rail car utilization. Obviously, another important point is to reduce the effort and the complexity to plan such a 100 train per day. Meaning we would like to provide to our planners tools, new tools thanks to Quintiq, and avoid that they have to lose too much time to calculate on spreadsheet, to make analysis on spreadsheet, but they can focus on disruption and on customer service. Then, as I mentioned before, a very important point is the possibility to perform simulation. I mean, to evaluate dynamically how the network change, especially in the dispatching, in the short-term planning. And last but not least is let's say a window on new possibilities with big data and with the integration of the data with other sources as well. So, as a conclusion, I can say that this is for us a very important project for our digitalization strategy, and we are going in the right direction to improve our capacity utilization and our utilization of the asset of the rail car. And then, how to say, we have several benefits, and it's very important for us to I mean, not only to have a tangible benefit for the company, but also to create engagement from our planner, and we receive very positive feedback from them. I mean, they like the way we plan and the way we solve our problem in the Quintiq platform, because they can save time and they can concentrate on the important aspect and customer service. Okay, thanks. Yes.
Thank you, Aldo, for this information. What's the start to finish time and the resources from your team with Ab Ovo or Quintiq to get this project done, both phases?
Yeah, let's say the plan is roughly 20 months for phase 1 and phase 2. And let's say for phase 1, we have a team of 5 FT involved.
Okay.
And for phase 2, we have a team of a little bit more, maybe 7 FT, due to the additional complexity related to the sales aspect and how to say face to customer aspect. But that's roughly the estimation of the resources, and that's all the time.
You mentioned that you have a real-time KPI performance that shows energy. What are you using to capture the historical information so that you see the trends? Is that a view that you have within the Quintiq application?
Now, what we do is we have 2 weeks of data in the Quintiq application, and then we move all the rest in the data warehouse. So in the data warehouse, we have basically everything. We keep everything, and we do analysis which are longer than 2 weeks. We do it there, and that's also how to say online and accessible by our planners.
For your annual forecasting capacity, are there penalties associated for missing the forecast?
Yeah. Yeah, let's say, as I say, we have 1 year in advance, we buy the capacity, and then every 3 months we do kind of medium planning with our supplier, and every week we need to confirm. Okay, it's not the same because it's depending on the supplier, but let's say the most common way is that every week you need to confirm how many trains you will run the week after, and obviously if you miss the estimation, you need to pay penalties, because obviously they allocate the resources for you, the log, driver, and so on, and you have to do the train.
Actually, very similar question. So, does this solution help you also project your next buy? I mean, are you thinking that there's a feedback loop to make you do better buys?
So you mean if
Because of what you're experiencing with Quintiq, do you feel in future you'll be more prepared to do more strategic buy of capacity?
yeah, sure. This is one of the goals. I mean, what we do is we do long-term planning, which is the way 1 year in advance forecast of our capacity, but also we use it to develop new products. So if we have to develop a new train, which is going to terminal that we are not using today, we use also Quintiq. We use it in a simulation mode. I mean, you copy the data and you can play as much as you like, and then you can evaluate. And before that, the guy were doing this in Excel, to make also the chart with arrival and departure and so on. It's how to say, a big change for our organization.
So 2 questions. First, you mentioned that you had, or it looked like you had some real-time data that was coming back.
Yep.
Are you bringing that back in off the ADI tags on the rail cars so you can trace the cars, or is that coming in, someone is entering the data?
We have an integration with, let's say, our ERP, which is developed internally. We have an integration with that ERP, and from that ERP we download, let's say, all the updates on the timetable, reservations and so on.
Okay.
And then we send back our plan to the ERP.
Okay.
So that also, let's say, from financial and other guys can see the result. Obviously, when I say one of the benefits is to open new possibilities, in the future we plan to equip our rail car with a sensor. I mean, not only GPS, but sensor to measure the wheel profile, the stability of the wagon, and so on. And so that will be a new world. I mean, to correlate the plan with the real-time data of the sensor with the IoT approach, that will be a new, new field.
So second question, do you provide any of this data or any of these views externally to your customers so they can see?
Yeah, this is something we are working on. I mean, with the second module, we plan to go live in January. Obviously, after the stabilization phase, our customer are already asking to provide them access to this data, because for them is important, to have such a transparency and to know how is the situation on this kind of train. Especially, we have trains which are always overbooked, and so they want to know in advance, and they already ask for it. So, but first of